If you were to ask anyone, what's the most disagreeable, annoying, and excruciating sound you've ever heard, I guarantee you that a big answer would be fingernails on a chalkboard. And God, that is awful. I mean, it's torture. But here's the weird part. We don't know why. At least we didn't know why until recently. There are people who actually researched this stuff. They have discovered the following. Number one, most of the frequencies of fingernails on a chalkboard are in the middle range of what we can hear. That means these sounds are front and center whenever we're exposed to them. Science has found that if they filter out those specific frequencies, subjects found the sound of fingernails on a chalkboard much less irritating. But why are these frequencies irritating in the first place? Well, it has to do with the design of our ear canals. They've evolved to amplify those exact same frequencies. The sounds thus become painful. But then there's the psychological aspect to all this. When subjects were told that they were hearing fingernails on a chalkboard, their physiological responses were extreme. Their bodies reacted to the unpleasant sound in a variety of ways. But if they were told that they were hearing something that was part of a musical composition, the physiological reactions were far more mild. Just knowing where the sound came from made it worse. So why is this a big deal? Well, because noise can be annoying, and this information can be used to, make a less irritating sounding vacuum cleaner or something. Seriously. Now you know a secret about your ears. Let me offer up some secrets about rock.
This is The Secret History of Rock with Alan Cross.
Welcome again. I'm Alan Cross, and we're set for another 2 hours of digging deep into the stuff that makes rock work. I'm going to show you where to find some hidden tracks in your CD collection that you had no idea existed. We'll look at what happened in 1994. How cheap can you make a hit record? Very, as it turns out. And we're going to deconstruct a few songs. And after we're done that, you will never hear them in the same way ever again. I want to start with rock and roll hair. Yes, hair. You heard me right. Rock and fashion have always been symbiotic. Clothes, makeup, and of course, hair. Just think how important hairstyles have been in the history of rock and roll. Started with Elvis and continues today. David Bowie built much of his reputation on his hair. It all started in 1964. He was part of a group that hoaxed the media in the UK with an organization they called the International League for the Preservation of Animal Filaments. Bowie, who was still David Jones back then, appeared on British TV and in a bunch of newspapers defending a man's right to have long hair. Here is a quote. "It's really for the protection of pop musicians and those who wear their hair long," he said. "Anyone who has the courage to wear hair down to his shoulders has to go through hell. It's time we united and stood up for our curls." Again, it was all just a big joke. About 8 years later, though, Bowie's hair would play a big part in his commercial breakthrough. His wife, Angie, is the one who came up with the idea of that orangey red puffball that helped define the Ziggy Stardust character. One story says that Bowie suggested that he might dye his hair red. It was just a whim. Angie liked the idea and helped her husband go through an armload of fashion magazines. They found what they like in an ad in Vogue. They showed it to a London hairdresser named Susie Fusi. She gave Bowie a cut and then dyed it that reddish orange. There's a theory, this is mostly Angie's theory, that this haircut changed Bowie's music. Gone was the long hippie hair of the 1960s Bowie. That puffball took effect. It forced Bowie to become much more self-conscious about his appearance because it takes more time to take care of a puffball. This led to more experiments with clothes and with makeup. The clothes and the makeup affected the music, and the end result was one of the most important and influential characters in the history of rock.